Okay. Yeah. So I live in Texas and we're having a freeze. So if you guys live anywhere in the north, everybody always laughs at us because when we have a big freeze, like the whole city, state, whatever shuts down. So it's Monday, but there's like half a day of work for work people. My kids are off school and no one's driving anywhere. It's hilarious. So luckily my internet's still here. When we have a freeze, like I said, everything stops working. Uh, so, all right, let me check my chat. I'm going to ask you guys throughout to answer here and there. Give me a comment, give me based on what I'm talking about. So, if you want to introduce yourself, please do. I'm even happy if you want to say what your business name is, what state you work out of, or country. You never know when someone might be a great connection or a referral. And and then I said something else to add. No, that's fine. All right, I'm going to get started. Um, Hello, welcome. I think we just had someone pop in. Welcome, welcome. I am popping this up right now. In case you're just coming in, you have the opportunity to introduce yourself and say a little bit about yourself, a little networking. If you would like to share where you work, what is your specialty? Um, your business name. Like I was saying, we never know when it's a great time. You could meet someone for referrals or collaboration. Um, Obviously, you all are here. You must be interested in in the same things, trying to grow your profession. So if you're getting used to sharing, we're going to start here, but I would love to hear a little bit about what I'm going to ask you this shortly. So start thinking about it. What you are looking to learn today? What brought you here? What is like drew you to joining in? All right. Okay. Hello again. We are talking about a new standard in infant care. Now, why would you care about that? Because one, if you're in infant care, you want to bring your best, right? And you also, what my goal is to help you position yourself to stand out, be different, and what we all want to do is also make a big difference. Okay. That is why we were drawn to the profession of a service profession. We didn't choose this by accident. We were all in this service. So why do we choose it, right? I want to show you in a short amount of time. We have a little bit of time together today. How that you can position yourself, and what I mean by that is how you show up and you're shown as this person who stands out. It's different, makes a huge difference, so that you can choose the jobs you want, and then how you can make this big difference without having to like go back to college. That's like can be really daunting if you haven't done that or you're in a different country and you're like, great, now I got to start over. But like that language in the back running for us all the time can be very defeating. I didn't do enough. I can't make it. I can't grow. I can't, people won't know that I'm better. And parents are very discerning today. Like they're more than ever because there's so much information out there. But here's the thing, they have trust issues. They don't always know who to trust anymore. There's AI out there everywhere. There's like new courses popping up. Who are these people? Do they know what they're talking about? Is this right for my baby? And then there's like this water hose effect of like I even have it online. And sometimes I'm like, be quiet. I don't even know who to listen to. So by creating a new standard and then filling a gap that we're going to talk about, there's a gap between caregiving and a clinical diagnosis. You can be the go-to inside of this gap. So that's our focus today that I will be referring to a few times. So if any of these are you, you're in the right place. If this is not you, please tell me, hey, I do this, and then we can make sure you're in the right place. But it's basically anyone who works closely with babies and wants to be valued for the depth of your work, not overlooked, not maybe calling forth, I'll use that word, families that don't want excellence, that don't want better and more. They just want like the basic status quo. And I hear often that like $1 can make a difference. Like someone else who's offering a rate of $1 less, they'll get the job. And so that kind of lack mentality, and you want to be bigger, better, fulfilled. So that's for you. And what the gap I'm talking about is between caregiving and clinical care. So what I see, depending on what role you have here, right? Sometimes y'all can cross over. I don't know if y'all answered yet who's an NCS, doula, educator. I would love to know who's here and know about you, because then I can customize what I say and you can use it better. So even so with the trust issues, one, and then confusion the parents have, they're going to hire people based on an immediate need that they have. They're not seeing this big, beautiful, picture. They're not able to picture the baby when the baby's 3. You're so, if you've had children, you know what I mean. But you're so in this moment and they're stuck and they're tired, or there's a feeding issue, or there's a sleep issue, or it's like my baby can't do this, so they're stuck in this one thing. So then they're going to hire somebody based on that need. So they're going to go like this, like, okay, what do I need? So then what happens is that you have this role. You might have all 4 or 5 of these labels, right? But you get hired based on this box that they might have needed at that moment. Okay. Then if you're stuck in that box that they hired for, what I mean by stuck is that if something else is challenging with the baby or the family, you're limited in the support and the advice that you can give, which if you what this does, okay, one, for the baby, they're not going to be able to get the help that you could provide. The family's not going to get the streamlined approach. They don't see you that way, right? What it does for you is it can cause resentment, right? Frustration, maybe a feeling like there's a glass ceiling that you can't cross, like, why am I even here? Oh, yeah, I'm here to care for the baby because the mom wants sleep or she has to go back to work. Sometimes they just want an extra set of hands. But if you're here in this workshop, you likely want to be more than just an extra set of hands. So that's what we're talking about today. So let me know in the chat if which one of these, like, does this sound anything like you think or feel or have experienced, in where you feel limited in what you've been able to do and you want to do more, you can do more. Either they won't listen to you, or there's like the respect isn't there, and like you're only in this one, they can only see you in one role. Okay. Let me see if you're able to chat. I'd love to kind of get the feel of where you are. It helps me structure. Let's see. Okay, awesome. Thank y'all for answering what you do. I love that. And then um yeah, if you can add any of these experiences that identify with you, I would love to know if we're on the right track here. So while you're answering, hybrid. Okay, awesome. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna keep this chat open if I can. Try that. Okay, I want to start here with a simple question. I did say that I was going to ask you, what is your goal for this choice of career? What is your purpose? What do you want to accomplish? Um, when asked, if someone said, "What do you want out of this year?" Why are you doing this job? What do you say? Tell me the first couple things that come to mind. Now, is one of them at all to stand out from others, either trying to get a job or increase the value and appreciation that you receive?
Preguntan cuál es mi accomplish as an NCS.
Can you, you know what? Do you want to answer me out loud? I was going to say answer me in the chat because, and then, and then I will take Q&A afterwards because then it kind of helps me. It helps me gear what I'm going to say. When you say, yeah, so you like, I know your heart, Vita, so I already know this. But when you say, I want you to get, this is how you're going to achieve more things. I want you to go deeper and say, why? Why do you love this work? And you support them. You could have chosen, you know, a lot of other careers. Okay. Keep thinking that. We're going to go a little deeper today. Now, do you all feel that you would like to stand out more, increase the value and appreciation received? I know that quite a few, I don't know of you guys or just meeting you, but ladies that I've worked with struggle with answering what income would you like to make? Okay. It takes some of the focus off of I want to serve and I want to help babies. It takes it, puts it on you a little bit. So sometimes that's uncomfortable, but this is our job and our career. So we can save it for later, but I want you to realize that all of these can be tied together. All right. So simple question here. If in order to stand out and get more value, like we talked about, do you feel that you need to work longer, like just work more hours, just work 14-hour days, right? Just do whatever the family needs to help their life run smoothly, right? They need you to make their life run smoothly. So this is working longer. Yeah, I mean, I know someone who works that long, you know, that's her rate is not where she wants it to be, but she's really good at this work. But in order to get the work, she works so many hours and brings amazing things to the families. Okay, but can only do that so long, right? We're gonna so that is one way to bring value, to be valued. Get a degree. I mean, that can be tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Trust me. And that's not, it's not bad, but do you feel in order to stand out, you have to, oh, here's another one, speak stronger. So there was, there was someone that I actually wound up, working with me later, but some people in this role feel you speak more assertively to show that you know something and you can help them. Like, I know that your baby is having reflux and you need to go get that checked out. And it might be because you're eating wrong, or your baby is not doing tummy time well and they're struggling. And I know this because, so speaking stronger doesn't always get the result that you want. Okay. So while some of these may be true, they don't always equal what you want them to equal. So I want to ask you here, like, if could give you the tools to clearly show parents why your guidance matters without getting a degree, working 14 hours a day. And like maybe your life, maybe you have worries about your finances or your life is maybe a mess, but you're focusing on making their life run smoothly. Maybe that's you. I have met people that too. But speaking louder doesn't always do it either, right? So if you have the tools, let me know, yes or no, to clearly show the parents why your guidance matters. Would they trust you more, yes or no? Okay, thank you for answering. Sorry, I'm like caught in my words there. I've been drinking extra coffee today because everybody's off school. um, okay, so here's just another way of saying it. How many of you feel like this before? You have this calling and you want to know how to monetize it better, right? You work and work and work. You've got the heart to serve, but maybe you don't feel the respect and the fulfillment. I would love to hear from you guys if this is something that you experience or not. If it's not, I'll take a different direction. That's the benefit of being here live. Okay. I know that I have met professionals and providers like you that have this. It's like just not they're just not being fulfilled. They feel like they have this big calling to help people, but they're not always seen in that role, so they can't bring it. So I really, really want to know if you feel that. Um, you should maybe be further along in your ahead in life by now. You're like, why am I not doing more, bringing more, maybe overlooked and minimized, like here, go wash bottles, or like I said, if you don't have this experience, let me know. um and finally, just say me if you would want to make a bigger difference, but you're not sure how. You don't feel like you're giving that opportunities. Okay. So, a little bit about earlier in my career, I didn't think that I could change a system to make a difference. So, like, it's kind of funny. So, I was a pediatric physical therapist. So, it's a great job. Like, a lot of education goes into that. But I didn't feel like I could change anything. I was a part of a big system, and it just went the way that it went. And children were born, and they have whatever type of birth they're going to have, right? And then they go through life, and then if they end up with big problems, they would find me down the system. They have to wait, and I mean, I could go into detail about the system. um, but that's just where I felt my part was. It was like after all of that, and then now they find me, and my goal is to see how much change I could possibly make to make the child's life as good as it can, minimize the problems they already have. So I thought it was a fact that I was just part of their after story, and all of these children that already had hard times and limitations and the stress that the families were under. I was like, yeah, I know, bring it on. And I can't do anything about that, right? I was one person doing my best in my job, which is not, I'm not minimalizing that job, but it's a scope, the same as I mentioned for you. I had a scope, and I can't do things outside of that scope. I got to wait for the prescription and wait for the okay and the doctors to send them. And anyway, I started seeing private clients. I got a lot of experience in my job, and I started seeing, I was also a teacher before that, and I worked in special ed and Special Olympics and a lot of things. So it was like I have the whole picture of the life that children, when they're born, they go through 2 3 years, and then some of them end up on these trajectories. So I started seeing some private clients, and I specialized in babies. So I was like, let me work with babies. This is great. And so I started seeing the gap even more. So there was I don't think it's okay. I'm gonna tell the short story. That there was a child that they found me accidentally through my kids went to preschool together, and the baby that she had was like 9 months, I believe, and she got recommended to me through the preschool director, and sh I didn't know them at all. They had been struggling for like almost 9 months, where she's like meets me and we finally talk, and I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And she's like, look, I'm Googling, go do these activities. Okay, your baby's this old, they should be doing this. And if you're, go try this, and this helps crawling, and this helps this, and this helps this. She goes, she won't do any of them. And she cries and screams, and I cry, and I don't know what to do. I feel like a failure. I feel like my other son, he didn't do this, like he's in school. So she was having the most stressful 9 months, and the bonding that they could have had, they missed. And the baby's stress and anxiety for a baby shouldn't be there. Shouldn't be there. They talk infant mental health is a really big topic right now, and there's a lot of research on infant mental health. And I kind of joke about it, but I'm like, the infant's mental health is fine. Like, they don't have mental health issues yet. It's what comes after that causes mental health issues. It's the people around them. So she was having so much stress. And anyway, so I was determined after working with her and to find a better way for babies. I started getting the idea that I can help in a bigger way, and I don't want to be satisfied by having to wait until everything is everybody else decides that it's a big enough problem, and then you go find, maybe you find me, maybe you find someone who doesn't know as much. You never know who they find, right? So another thing is if these babies have included a NICU journey, post NICU, parents not in control at all in the NICU, and then they come home and they're terrified they're going to mess something up. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what's going on. If you were born premature, you have a high probability of sensory and motor limitations. Also, tongue tie can be a thing, and you got to wait and see if it's, oh, is it there? Is it causing enough? Is it causing enough of a problem? Okay. Um, anyway, all these roads led me. They just bring so much stress and worry, and the parents feel like they're not good enough, and the sadness is happening. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a better way. So that is where this is kind of created. Um, the issue wasn't that I couldn't help them. It's just the help was coming too late. And this is Bethany, who I just told my story a little early, because when I'm live, I like things to make sense. She's the one where they were Googling and crying, and then we met, and I realized that I could have changed her entire first 9 months with her baby. It did not have to be that way. And that's when everything changed for me. I started to work in the first year of life, creating the baby's movement patterns as they were being developed. And I was on to something even bigger than I knew. Okay. Thank God, because it's been fun. It's been fun stepping out and creating a different way to help babies. And um, trying to think. So basically, you kind of get the idea that babies need the support before whatever problem escalates. There's never a downside to having facilitation of your body, movement in all different ways, the vestibular input, sensory system. There's never a downside, ever. The downside is thinking, oh, I'll wait and see if that's a big enough problem. That's the only downside. There is literally no downside to putting forth into any baby input to all of their developing systems so it comes together. I mean, their sleep is going to be solved. A lot of times feeding issues are going to be solved. The baby, I'm supposed to say this later, I believe, but the baby is a whole baby. It's not separated out. And that was another thing about the medical field that bothered me is I had a client and they had an issue and they had to go to a neurologist. They look at one thing. They had to go, maybe, oh wait, that's not the whole thing. Here, go to the orthopedist. Oh wait, go to a developmental pediatrician. That's like thousands of dollars already. But it's like this whole baby approach. So just imagine if you flip your thinking, like I flipped my thinking, to create the brain, help create it instead of other people trying to fix it later, right? This is a new role, like I was talking about the role that you're in, that can allow early ethical guidance, right? That realization for me was super exciting. And that's why I'm on this hill, so to speak. This is what I stand for. So the coolest part for you, I might add, if you're not already excited by this, but the coolest part is for you is that if you are not feeling fully fulfilled, like those things we talked about, that you have a bigger purpose, a bigger gift, and you're like, I'm not operating at my highest. I would love to do something higher, as well as your highest abundance for yourself. You're like, I know I could make more. I know that people would love me if they knew what I could do for them. I know that I want to feel more appreciated. I want to bring big things. So the coolest part that I feel is that you can have both of these. You can have both of these by flipping your thinking, as I flipped my thinking, to helping to create the brain. Who's with me? Who's with me? So, as this last sentence says here, is that I'm focusing on sharing with you because you're already the ones in place to make the biggest difference. This is you. You're already there. You're already there at the beginning. So, couple quick things about what using this method of thinking and the neuroplay method I created has achieved. It allowed a 6-month-old I was working with. By the way, this 6-month-old had already seen, I didn't know them yet, a very well-known lactation specialist in town who also has a chiro and body work person in there. They have this referral network, right? She'd already done all of that, was still doing it. I didn't even know she wasn't able to cuddle with her dad. We were working on more like concrete issues. And then the mom told me, "You're never going to believe this. She cuddled with her dad for the first time yesterday, and she was 6 months old. And he told her, we didn't even know it wasn't like a written down goal. And I thought that was just amazing. Um, the other thing this has achieved for me is training infant caregivers and providers like you to go on and help changing babies' futures that I would have never met. I would have never met babies in Oxford. I couldn't see them myself. Or in, let's see, Betas in Florida and wherever. I wouldn't meet these. So being able to help change those babies' futures without even being there is amazing. Um, Also creating, there was another client, loving relationship between this first time mom and her frustrated baby. She didn't even know. She told me, "I had a frustrated baby and I didn't even know." And so like we didn't have a relationship. It was so stressful. And the baby was like aloof. She's like, "Well, I'm a terrible first time mom." And so that changed too. Personal note, I get to, instead of being clinical in a hospital, I get to bring my kids to school in the mornings and afternoons and be here. And then finally, the 9-month-old I mentioned, she got to go on and excel in gymnastics with her typically functioning peers, like no special needs, instead of being like special education. She didn't have any vestibular issues anymore. I mean, gymnastics is all vestibular. Um, anyway, this is just what it's done for me. This gives a clear, easy way to offer help to families who like the baby doesn't need clinical services or PT. So if you're thinking, pop in the chat. It's okay. If you're thinking, but is this outside of my scope? You're a PT, like you're clinical. It is not. So I will address that. But this is like, there is no diagnosis yet. There's none of that. So it's nothing, there's none of those services to serve them. This is an in with the babies and you're already working with them, you're already handling them, you already know how to problem solve some sleep things and some feeding things. And sometimes if you have to go and address a clinical need, parents are going to be in denial and you're just going to get a wall. So this goes gently all around that. All right, we talked about this a little bit. If you want to bring and achieve, this is if these are some things for you, then that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me see if there's any questions. I don't see any yet, but if you want to stand out, be different, make a difference. What do these bring for you? What is the reason that you would want to stand out? What has been challenging for you in that way if you didn't stand out? Like I've had one client say that other people were always chosen for the jobs in the interview because they would present themselves in a certain way. But then when it came down to being actual, what do you call it? Sorry, practical, like working with the babies and what you do, like 100% of the time she was chosen. So she was missing out on jobs. There's another one who works too long, right? If you're different, can you work less hours? Can you maybe choose the families that want excellence and not the ones who want the baseline and they're going to pay, you know, $29 instead of $30 an hour, or it's hard to go past that ceiling. Just think why you want these things. Well, I have a path for you that can bring all of this. You can't achieve any of these without the skills, first of all, but you have to be able to have the confidence to talk about it in a relatable way. Remember, there's a trust issue. You have to build trust if they're going to take any of this from you. Okay. Now we're going to go into the framework a little bit. And I'm going to teach you some stuff. And the cool thing about this is that it gives you a framework. You don't have to make things up on your own. You don't have to go to Instagram or the mall, right? Go to Instagram and you get a couple activities. It's like, okay, we're going to try this one. Um, a really good one that's kind of challenging, right? So if you make one of those, maybe the parents make one of those crawling tracks. They're really cool looking, but what if the baby won't do it? So that's one thing that no one offers a solution to is the problem solving of any of this. So what if you're the specialist? What if you're an NCS and your goal is sleep usually, but then you also can stay on some help in the day, some, there's a lot of different crossover. What if that's you and then the babies won't sleep? Maybe wake windows aren't working because you're like, okay, maybe there's a feeding issue. Well, they're gaining weight, but like there's all these issues to problem solve. What if it goes outside of what you know because you're an NCS? What if it goes outside of what you know? What do you do? Well, I'm in a lot of those groups and a lot of them are coming in and they're like, what do I do about this? What do I do about this? I've never had a baby do this, but I'm seeing those posts pop up like every 10 minutes. So it's a lot. You can't always know what that baby's going to need. Okay. This gives you a structure and a sequence. You don't have to make up the developmental things on your own. So the parent will listen to TikTok videos or Instagram, and then what if they don't work? So we're going to talk about that. Sometimes the mom, then she's wondering, is this for my baby? Am I doing it wrong? That's a really big one. All right. So the structure, I'm going to give you the very important first thing is to have a sequence of movements. I didn't go into too much how movement creates the brain. That's the premise of all of this. Movement is a window into the brain and it creates in real time how the brain is forming. So if the baby cannot do certain things, my dog's, I'm going to put her out, cannot do certain things, that baby's brain and body, the connections are not forming as well as they can, as well as they should. There's something that's missing. Okay. Here's my record. I was going to try and pause because, like I told y'all, everybody's home. So, let's see. Okay. So, point of the story is my brain's developing, body's developing. That's where we were. So, you want to have a sequence. This is the first part of the method I created. You want to have a sequence of movement that is going to promote all of the systems that are developing. Now, what this does for the baby is provides, so you don't even have to know, like the parent doesn't have to know all the science behind what it is. But using this sequence of movement, the baby's going to get range of motion, input to their body. They're going to get symmetrical. You want symmetry is really important. 2 M's. You want symmetry. We don't want asymmetry in anything that they're doing at this time. Now, this can also cross over to the mouth, right? Because in my clinical practice, I co-treated with a lot of feeding specialists. The mouth mimics the trunk. So some really, really cool input is that she would send them to me for a little bit and says, you gotta figure this out because whatever I'm doing in the mouth is not enough. So we got to organize the whole body. Remember, I said it's a whole baby. So the other thing that's happening is the brain development during, like, the mouth is uncoordinated. So then feeding is affected. So then their sleep is affected. So then their mood is affected. And what do you think development is doing? That is definitely negative affected because all the pieces go together. And then the mom wants to put the baby in a snoo so they can sleep, which is the opposite answer that should be brought to the table. So having a simple sequence that brings symmetry to the body also brings symmetry to the brain. Okay. And then what it also does for you is gives you a structure to work off of. So then no one's guessing. And imagine if you go a step further, what this does for the way that you're perceived, the way that you're communicating your professionalism, right? Just take that step in your head, and then we can talk about it a little more. But then you show up with more confidence and knowledge. You're like, oh yeah, I know for sure this sequence here is going to give your baby everything that she needs to be able to move properly. So then their brain's actually on fire in the right ways and connecting, and we can prevent all kinds of issues. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second part of the method is to assessment. Now, when I say assessment, it's not a clinical assessment like I would do. So the cool part is, we're back to how cool it is. I hope you think it's cool, but that you can assess based on what you're going to know, the sequence, and if it's not going right. If something doesn't, so assessment just means you have the knowledge to know if something feels asymmetrical, it doesn't feel right. Okay? Hopefully y'all can see, you can see this a little bit. Doesn't feel right. Let's see what else. Doesn't look right. And a lot of you have this skill here. It can be based on, all of your experience. And a lot of the people who are kind of drawn to my trainings have a lot of experience. And they're like, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. I know what it looks like when the baby's having I call it like a disconnection or a blockage in the brain connection. So we all know here, or maybe not. Sorry, I don't know if we all, but it's all right. The corpus callosum is down the middle and it connects the two hemispheres, but not just connects, it's millions of connections have to cross the corpus callosum. And for that to happen, there can't be a blockage or a disconnect somewhere, right? Imagine, just picture it. You can easily picture it. I think that the disconnect is not just going to be here. It's not just going to be like, that baby can't turn her head to the right. So yeah, her neck's probably tight. So she probably has a little discomfort. It's way more than that. If she can't turn her head to the right, it's almost like the right side of her world doesn't exist. So her eyes are going to be limited. Her neck range of motion, yes, is limited. Typically, when your neck range of motion is limited, your shoulder's going to be tight. So like turning to the right, the shoulder will be a little elevated. The arm can be affected. Oh wait, you can't see my right shoulder. Anyway, it goes on from there. It can even involve, the rooting. We got rooting, we got the mouth. So you often will know when something doesn't look or feel right, but maybe don't realize how big of a deal it actually is and all the pieces that are playing into it. Now, even if you do, we're going to go to the third part, which is even if you do realize, yeah, this is a bigger deal. How do you communicate that you're not a healthcare professional? How do you get that message across that you do know, that you saw it, so that you earn the trust and respect that one is required to be able to give that information to a mom? Like, they have to trust you and respect you as more than you're supposed to be teaching my baby to sleep. You're supposed to be, if my baby wakes up, you're supposed to be holding the baby so they're not crying. Still, I don't wake up until it's a feeding time. And I know this is just one example, but that is real. So if you're in that role, how do you communicate this that you know because of your experience? How do you communicate this and it be received? And then what do you say that you're going to do about it? So oh, what's my number? I'm trying to stay. I think, yeah. Oh, that was number 4. So I'm gonna just stay there and I'm going to adjust and connect. I don't want to skip over that. But I'm just gonna put 4 and then 3. So keep thinking about that. What are you gonna do about it was more of number 3. Okay. But how you explain, are you guys with me? Give me like, are y'all sleeping or is this good? Do you want me to continue with where I am? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear where you are. I don't see your faces. I'm seeing there we go. Let's see. Thank you for who's answering me. I love it. Yes. Thank you, Beta. Yeah, I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys, that I am giving you value. I don't want to waste your time. I want to make sure you're getting value. All right, minimize that. Okay, so number 3 is actually the adjust and connect. So right now, as your role, a lot of times you might do floor time, even if it's not in a sequential manner. You might do that. You might be able to know when something doesn't look right. You guys tell me where you fall into this. Tell me in the chat. But the adjust and connect is, what are you going to do about it? So right now, I believe, if I'm wrong, tell me, that either, oops, most of the time it's a refer out. So I talked with someone last time I taught this. She's been doing this for, what'd she tell me, 25 years, 30 years. She goes, yeah, I refer. That's what you're supposed to do. I said, yeah, it is. But do you know what they're going to get if you refer? You're losing, there's a gap. Remember we talked about the gap. The gap is caregiver over here, caregiver, and there's all of this space right here. And then there's the referring, there's clinical. Every baby that has an issue over here should not, this is a hill I'll stand on, should not have to wait and be ignored by all the people until it's clinical enough to where some doctor says it's bad enough, now we'll help you. No baby should have that. So there's this gap. Who wants to fill it? I do. I certainly do. So there's all these babies who, if you were have a birth that was emergency C-section, for example, to save their life, right? They're gonna have, there's gonna be some results to that. So let's say that happened. Well, sometimes it's because that there was a delayed or slow primitive reflex. So they couldn't do something that they were supposed to do to be able to make it through the birth canal. Sometimes it's, and then why was that delayed? And then what can we do about it? How could you notice within 1 month, 2 months, that something was a little delayed and speed it up right then, connect it right then? I mean, we all hear, well, I don't know. I keep saying this like I'm assuming, so I don't know. We hear about, tell me if you hear about this, all the primitive reflex training that school age children have to go to. It's all clinical. It's all over Instagram now if you look it up. If you have learning disabilities, if you have dyslexia, if you have poor fine motor skills, if you have poor vision, if you have all of these things for a little bit older children, you're likely your primitive reflexes are stuck and they're not integrated. So now this is how you can fix that. You can try this, try this, try this, try this. More band-aids, right? But for a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11, that is having difficulties, okay? They're not keeping up in school. They're having behavior. They are ADD. Can't focus because, it's your primitive reflexes. So here, let's go try to fix those, right? But now that they're ingrained in you. That's how you move. That's how your brain thinks you're supposed to be. Now it's going to take a lot more intervention to clear that up than it would have in the beginning. At 1 month old, 2 months old, you're like, hey, you had a difficult birth. How about we do a movement sequence that's going to help everything integrate for excellence? How about that? So that's where this is, and that's where I am, and that's where I want to be. Oh, sorry. I need to figure this out. Right here is the gap. That's the gap that we're talking about today. Jessica's coming in now. That's okay. Okay. If you would like to be in that, working in that gap, say me. If you would like to be working here in this space that we're talking about, welcome, Jessica. Just kind of jump in and I can hang out with you after and catch you up. If you would like to work in this space I'm talking about, say me. If you don't completely understand what I said, don't say me, because you're saying me if you want to work in this space I'm talking about between caregiving and clinical. If you need more clarity on what I'm talking about, put clarity. That'd be great. Or a C. C for clarity. Okay, so what we talked about so far of the method, neuroplay method framework I'm giving you. You need a sequence and a structure. We want symmetry and we want all of the systems being like stimulated. We want all the systems to have input and be balanced with each other because it's a whole baby, like this. Whole thing. The brain's not disconnected from the feet, not disconnected from the gut, not disconnected from the mouth and the feeding. It's all together. It needs to be organized. We talked about that, and then we talked about how you assess how it feels and what it looks like when you're doing the sequences. So you're able to assess it because you know what it should look like and feel like. And so you have a lot of experience here. But then what can you do about it and how do you say it to where you get trust? And that's a high level of trust. They have to go, oh, she's not attacking my baby. She loves my baby. She really sees something that's important. I should listen to her. That's a lot. You got to connect that for a mom. Can be done. It can be done. So what can you do about it? I noticed Sarah is having she's having a harder time in floor time and than she has to. I would love for her to be able to enjoy it even more and be happy and build the skills that she needs. I want to make her more amazing. So I am going to I can show you, if that's okay with you, some ways we can adjust and connect. And you're communicating it with confidence. So they are not putting up a wall or they're not offended or those things that I'm sure you've experienced. Okay. That's how we fill a gap. And then Sarah, that you're working with, likely does not need clinical input. And if she does, because some things will be out of the scope, if she still does, your next number 5 here is that you refer to the appropriate person so the parent gets a streamlined and that builds more trust for you. Okay, you've streamlined it. You say, okay, we have worked on this and this and this and play with purpose. I call it, I didn't say that yet, but we've done these things and this is the result I've seen. And I think Sarah needs a little bit more. I suggest trying this person because they do this. So now you have this, it just sounds, tell me, doesn't that sound very leading, very confident? Okay. So let's see. you have a question from there? I want to hear you. But has this been valuable for you? Please let me know in the chat. Has this been valuable, and what? What was valuable? Give you a second. And Jessica, you can answer later. I know you missed some. So, um, okay. So if you that yeah, I wanted to know if this was valuable for you. I think you said a little earlier you were with me. I want to know if it's been valuable. Is this like stirring your brain? Is it like waking up like, I wonder how I can change how I'm with a family. I wonder what else I can bring. I wonder how I can step into this. Even if you're thinking I'm with a baby, I'm gonna go look for this symmetry thing she was talking about, tomorrow when I see this baby. Um, anything. Okay. If if any of these things we talked about today were you, I have an easy path for you that will help with the fulfillment. It will help with the respect, the appreciation, the confidence that you have, that desires that we talked about earlier to stand out. That this was only an hour. This is only an hour with me, but I want to, if you want to think that joining me for a day of breaking down this method and framework is helpful for you and would solve this problem in your life, okay? I connected, I think for you, I'd love to know if I connected how you may feel that you don't stand out and make a big enough difference. We talked about your role. If that is you, where your role, you feel like you're missing something, you want to bring more to the table, then this framework is how you get there. It's how you get the skills without going back to college. And then you get the communication and the confidence to build the trust from the parent that you can solve these problems for them. If there is a feeding and a sleeping issue, you can also look at their body. You don't just have to do the tools that you have. Sometimes it doesn't work. The ones that it doesn't work doesn't help build your confidence in yourself and the parents' confidence in you. It's like you're here for this. Why is it not working? This gives you another set of high level skills. So also I'm offering, so this is what I'm offering today for the foundations program. And I also, if you're feeling like really called for a certification and to go, you really want to be a consultant and have the certification, I am booking calls. I don't have that offer for you today. It's just I'm happy to book a free call with you and talk about your goals for the year. Where are you in your service business? Where do you want to go? Do you feel like you're bringing everything you to the table? Or is there a space for you to have higher education and more communication and build that trust? Book a call. I have that on the next slide. But if you were ready to jump into the foundations, which includes um, developmental understanding, shared language with the parents, ethical clarity. I know that that's really big. I want to pause and say, look, any of these things that are offered separately is a lot higher in price. But put it all together, the foundations program, you get the sequences, because it's really hard, you guys, to take all the information out there and put it together in a science research backed way that you know what you're doing. So that's why I'm here. If this feels like something next level, the next level for you, I'm happy to talk with you about it. I'm happy to have you. And I'm also very happy that you joined today. Okay. So these are a couple bonuses if you are interested. And if today was valuable for you, I'm very happy. And if you would like more value, the bonus, you $100 off for today. And there's also a discount partner to the NICU translator. It's to be a NICU doula. I have a combination. And also, I wanted to add that this includes mentorship. So it's not just a course on your own where you sit online and you read and then you're done. I help you integrate it because if you're going to have the confidence boost and all of these big things change in your life, you have to use it. You have to take the knowledge and not just leave it in your Google Drive, Google Drive, what do you call it? Graveyard, which I've done many times. You got to use it. So you got to take the lesson, talk about it. Take the lesson, practice the sequence, and then you actually submit it in to me, and I give feedback on the sequences. And that's how you graduate, get your certificate. Um, all right, here I'm going to pop the link in the chat if you are thinking what to learn more about the certification, the consultant program. If you are interested in that, you're feeling you want to know about that, I will put my, it's a bigger calling. I will put my calendar link for you and we can have a conversation about that. Other than that, I am here for you for our Q&A. I'm here for you for your comments. I'm here for your questions. I'd love to know what stood out for you today. Feel free to unmute yourself while I grab my calendar. Why is it not copying from? Copy. Right. As I mentioned earlier, we have a freeze in Texas, so uh, the state, everything shuts down and everybody's home and the dog's barking.